Were you a Cartoon Network kid or a Nickelodeon kid? Perhaps a Disney Channel kid? I definitely wasn't, but I did watch both Cartoon Network and Nick. Nick for Spinge Binge,
Spinge binge?
Cartoon Network for shows like Regular Show and Adventure Time. Well, in the early 2010s, Cartoon Network, a TV network dedicated to showing cartoons, decided to move in a more Nick/Disney direction by creating a series of live-action TV shows and movies. Most, if not all of these, were flops. The only one I watched is the topic of this video. In 2011, the movie Level Up released, and you better believe I was there for its premiere. This is really weird, but I remember each time there was a commercial break in the movie, which there were many of, I would go and grab more pepperoni slices from a package my parents had in the fridge. I ate like half a pack by the end of it and my mom got mad at me, but I did end up enjoying the movie. Hold that thought for a minute. For me as a kid, there were two main pillars of online video games I would go to: Cool Math Games and the Cartoon Network website. Cool Math Games was the GOAT back in my day, although later on in middle school, it did get usurped by the Unblocked Games industrial complex. But the Cartoon Network website was amazing as a kid. They had a game for basically every show and movie they aired on the network, including the amazing Level Up movie. It was an MMO called Maldark, Conqueror of All Worlds, and my family's computer simply could not run it above 5 frames a second. It was horrible. Now the thing about the Level Up movie and later TV show, and this game Maldark, is that it's genuinely a pretty genius tie-in. So let me give you a very brief rundown of the movie first, as I just rewatched it for the video. So some kind of secret CIA weapon gets accidentally set off where it shoots into a computer playing the in-universe MMO game, Maldark. The CIA laser hits the main villain of the game, Maldark, and gives him awareness, at which point he creates a portal in-game that would allow him to enter the real world. The four main characters are a nerdy kid, a jock, and an edgy skateboarder, who are all unknowingly each other's raid partners on Maldark, while not associating with each other at school. The fourth character is this girl who barely has a part in the movie besides kissing nerdy guy at the end. These four have to put their differences aside and prevent the video game character Maldark from destroying the real world. The movie is kinda trash, but it's also kind of a fun watch. The cast is probably the best part. Jesse Usher plays the jock kid, and as far as I can tell, this was one of his first actual roles. I don't think any of the main characters put in a bad performance. I mean, it's a TV movie for kids, so it's never going to be Oscar level, but it's just funny to see this guy who later became a star on shows like The Boys.
Yeah. Yummers. Guess you wanted to cram in as much fat fuck as possible, huh?
Here on Cartoon Network. Far and away the best casting choice is Eric Andre as the creator of the Maldark game. It's such a cracked out casting, but it's so fun to watch. In case you're wondering, yes, he does just act like Eric Andre.
Not that it would have any effect. He's no longer confined to the game. I haven't seen any sign of him for a few days now. He's kind of just floating out there. Do you think he'll want to meet me?
But there's this funny scene where he's supposed to be coding on a computer while this big guy watches over him, and you see Eric constantly having to look down at the keyboard to see what he's typing. In-universe, this guy is a really famous game developer who is literally currently coding away for the villain of a video game to enter the real world, and yet he can't type without constantly looking at the keyboard. The other characters are fine. Nerdy guy and skateboarder are the two most stereotypical characters you've ever seen, and the girl character, who I will continue to call that because that's a great way to sum up her character, has way less screen time. If you ever have an hour to kill and feel like checking out Cartoon Network's live-action era, watch Level Up. Like I mentioned earlier, there was also a Level Up TV show. I think I actually watched a couple episodes of it before being like, this sucks, I'm going back to SpongeBob.
So anyways, guys, SpongeBob.
I can't be bothered to go track down the TV show for this video, but based on the Wikipedia page, it looks like they recast Eric Andre. It makes sense. I doubt he wanted to commit to doing 2 seasons of a kids' TV show, but it's still a tragedy. He was easily the best part about the movie. The show only lasted 2 seasons, but I can't really find anything online on why. Maybe because it wasn't very good. At least that's what my 9-year-old self thought. But anyway, you can probably see why Cartoon Network thought it'd be a good idea to make an actual Maldark MMO game now. Unlike most of their games where it's just some little minigame rebranded with their own characters, this game could make kids feel like they were actually living in and participating in the plot of the show. I've never forgotten about the 30 minutes I spent as a kid trying to play Maldark, probably because I vividly remember the movie and the amount of pepperoni I ate during it. So a couple weeks ago I decided to go online and try to find out how to play Maldark, Conqueror of All Worlds in 2025, because it's obviously not on their website anymore. Luckily, someone on r/Lost Media had the same question 4 years ago. They got a surprisingly prompt and not rude response from the people on there telling them exactly how to download and play Maldark locally on their computer. Step 1 is to download the Unity web player, which I didn't even know existed. Step 2 is to download the Pale Moon web browser, which I also didn't know existed. Pale Moon is a browser with an absolutely ancient UI, like not even 2011 levels, this is like early 2000s. But unlike basically every other browser, it doesn't track you, so come to your own decision. Anyway, you then have options. If you have social anxiety, you can just go to a Google Drive to download a demo version of the game. But if you don't, you can join the exclusive Level Up Discord server, where they have links to find the full version of Maldark online. You can then go to a Mega Link, which didn't work for me, or another Google Drive where I did end up downloading my version of Maldark. It actually wasn't a super hard process, but the question is, was it worth it?
Long ago, the evil wizard Maldark was sealed away, leaving peace and goodwill throughout the land. But this era of prosperity ended when a brave but reckless knight foolishly unlocked Maldark's magical tomb. More powerful than ever, the malicious Maldark set out to conquer every world in existence. Now the call goes out from the Oaks of Shermandale for a hero. Someone to find the clues and artifacts needed to stop the invasion of Maldark and his awful minions. It will be a long and perilous journey with fiendish monsters and deadly traps around every corner. But with help from the clan known as Neverfail, perhaps a courageous young hero could finally defeat Maldark, the conqueror of all worlds.
Now going into this video, keep in mind that I don't really like MMOs. It's just a personal preference thing. I think they're usually way too grindy for me, and it kind of annoys me how you can spend like 20 minutes raising your blood pressure to kill a group of enemies only for them to then respawn like a minute later for the next player to also kill. Adding on to that, I also don't like this specific style of MMO. It's basically entirely point and click. You click on a location to move there, and then you click on an enemy to attack them. You can press a number key to use an ability or a scroll, and that's pretty much it. But maybe Maldark is different. Maybe Cartoon Network invented a new and engrossing style of MMO gameplay that could finally get me to like MMOs. Anyway, when you first enter Maldark, you need to create a toon, or a character. You have a choice of 4 classes. Shiny Knight, which is what the skateboarder was. Thieving Thug, the nerd. Sorcerer of Sorcery, the jock. And Mountain Barbarian. The girl character in the movie didn't actually play the game, but maybe she was a barbarian, I don't know, man. Anyway, you know that meme about male and female monsters in MMOs? That shit is insanely accurate in Maldark. Like, besides the knight, all of the male characters are ugly ogres, while the females are just hot women with different colored skin. I chose Thieving Thug because it's the one I chose as a kid, and I also liked the nerd guy's weapon the best when I first watched the movie. In the movie, he has this gun thing where you can turn a dial to change between 600 different ammo types. In the game, there's no such thing. You do get that weapon, but it just shoots little fireballs. Lame. That first weapon you get actually levels up with you, so it sucks at the beginning, but in theory, should get much better as the game goes on. In practice, that's not the case. I bought a weapon that was far better than my first weapon ever got in like 1 hour into my playthrough, and just continued to find better and better ones as I went. So not only did my lame-ass gun not shoot 600 different types of ammo, I also had to use a different one that looks like a water gun just to stay afloat in this game. Anyway, once you create your character, you're dropped into Oaks of Shermandale, the hub of the game, and where, if you were playing on the original Cartoon Network website, you'd see a bunch of other players running around. The only way to play this game today is to run it locally though, so I honestly don't know how the multiplayer experience in Maldark is, especially in dungeons. Anyway, this guy named Lord Greytail, who you talk to like twice, gives you your first quest. Go into the crypts and kill some enemies. I'm not going to talk much about the story here because I really wasn't paying attention, but you start off just doing video game shit until the characters from the movie actually appear and start telling you what to do. It's pretty cool. I can imagine a lot of kids out there being really into helping out the characters from the movie. The only thing is, the things they give you to do are super lame. Like, here, go defeat this enemy that we could easily beat on our own, but we just don't feel like it. Like, you never do anything actually important to taking down Maldark, saving the world. Probably because that's all reserved for the plot of the show. Anyway, based on the credits, it seems like the actors from the movie actually did the voice acting for the game. Although their voice lines are so quiet, they might as well not have any.
Got those maracas? Sweet. Shake them moneymakers to create a portal to the next level and take out the crypto knights that are guarding Lord Ramsay's resurrection chamber.
The credits list Eric Andre as a voice actor, but as far as I can tell, his character wasn't in the game. Anyway, I already kinda mentioned what the gameplay of Maldark consists of, but in the beginning it's super easy. Just click on an enemy and your guy will attack until they die. This game actually has more enemies than you'd probably think, although towards the end there's a lot of reskins. I'm not going to go over most of them, just the ones I thought were interesting. Anyway, the boss of the first level is a big goblin named Thaddeus. The way dungeons work in this game is that you open a portal to them from town, hop in, then you can find portals on each floor to go deeper into the dungeon. Or you can just go into your quest log and press a button to open a portal to go directly to the floor you need to be on for that quest. The game also will open a portal for you to go back to town directly as soon as you complete a quest. At least for like the first half, then it just stops doing that. The thing this game never tells you is that you can actually just go right into the quest log and press another button to go right back to the village. I didn't actually know about either of these buttons until halfway through my playthrough, so I spent like 45 minutes one time backtracking through the fire level because the only exit I knew of was on floor 3, and I was on floor 7. It was fucked. Anyway, I imagine that when this game was multiplayer, you could team up with other players, although I don't actually know that. The game gives you 2 NPC companions, a knight and a sorcerer, and when you first get them, they're amazing. Like, you literally walk through enemies for the first couple levels. Now, these 2 do level up with you, but they never get any new gear themselves, and you can't give them any or buy them any. Each time you level up, you get 3 attribute points to distribute between strength, ranged, magic, or defense. You can probably guess what each of those things does. What you probably can't guess is the fact that it takes a whole 3 points to increase any of these by just 1. So like, for example, if on my character sheet it says my range damage is anywhere from 14 to 27 per shot, if I put 3 points into that skill, it'll become 15 to 28. Wow, thanks. So the only way to do real damage and be able to survive more than 1 hit from the later enemies is to get better gear, which works fine for you, the player, but not these 2 jobbers the game paired you up with. In the later levels of the game, these guys genuinely just die over and over. They come back after like a minute, but they'll come back just to die again. This makes the later levels actually kinda hard. I got through this game by spamming this ability that does crazy damage and has a chance to stun enemies each time you use it. The crazy thing is that there are a bunch of other NPCs around, not even just the merchants, like other fake players with their own groups. Like, why can't I just go up to them and offer them gold to join my party? You might be saying, because they're supposed to be fake other players, but that's exactly what the 2 NPCs they provide you with are anyway. They constantly say shit like, oh, I'm bad at the game, and how long does it take to respawn? So like, come on man, let me get rid of these 2 deadweights and hire some alpha gamers to help me out. Anyway, besides the fake players, there's also Lord Greytail, who you talk to like twice and then never again, and then the 2 merchants. One sells weapons, the other scrolls. They both sell potions for whatever reason. Your inventory space is actually pretty limited, so you'll often have to stop by these guys to sell off the extra weapons and scrolls you pick up in the dungeons. I never really use scrolls in this game because I got hit with that thing where you hold onto a powerful item, waiting for the right moment to use it only to never end up using it. In this case, it was a spell called Mini Nuke. The second boss of level 1 is Lord Ramsey, this big knight guy, and he's really not that hard, although he does have a decent amount of health. Anyway, level 2 is the hot pits, and there's a lot of trolls and shit down here. In fact, that's the first boss down here, a big troll named Brad. He's not too hard though, because at this point your 2 companions aren't useless just yet. Next is a big dragon thing called Foxbra, and he's not easy. Foxbra has a shitload of health, but just like some later bosses, you can get him stuck on the terrain and kill him pretty easily. Next level is the ice cave where you fight Sprog, who was that big guy that was hovering over Eric Andre in the movie. On this level you meet these Amazonian enemies, who are just giant women. Kinda not what you would expect to be in a kid's game. Anyway, Sprog can clone himself, so you just have to beat him twice to end the fight. It's this level where your companions really lose all effectiveness, so the stun spam strategy had to come in clutch for me. After Sprog is a boss fight called Gorkol, who is a reskinned snowman enemy, reskinned specifically to look like a luchador, which is a weird choice for a snowy level. This one is actually kinda hard, not because of Gorkol, but because there's like 47 enemies around him. The way I did it was by stunning Gorkol in the middle of the doorway, preventing any of the other enemies from getting out behind him. The next and surprisingly final boss of Maldark is a giant ice dragon called Glacius. This is definitely the hardest fight, as Glacius has a stupid amount of health and hits like a truck, but I spammed enough mana potions that I could basically keep him stunned for the entire fight. After that, the game is surprisingly over. The main story is, at least. But the credits rolled, so I could finally say that I was done with Maldark. You might have picked up by now that I didn't really like this game. I mean, when you look at it like it's a game for kids made by Cartoon Network, it's actually very impressive. This is miles above anything else Cartoon Network has put out, at least to my knowledge, and it's a great tie-in with the movie and show, if only those 2 things were a little more popular. But playing it now as a 22-year-old, this game was super boring for me. I feel like the way this game is meant to be played is that you group up with a party of 4, your knight and barbarian charge in to distract enemies while your thief and sorcerer shoot shit at enemies. I mean, that sounds kind of fun, right? Well, the problem is that the way you charge at enemies is just by clicking on them with your mouse. That's it. Of course you can then use all of your abilities, but like, it's a very passive game to play if you know what I mean. You kind of just click on an enemy and hope for the best most of the time, spamming abilities whenever you have enough mana, and potions whenever you run out. Maybe that sounds appealing to you, but to me I could barely stand it for the 5 or so hours that I played. The thing is, there's actually more levels after the ones I did. I just couldn't do it, man. I was so bored. So now I'm going to give my overall thoughts on Maldark Conqueror of All Worlds. For being a tie-in game with a relatively low-budget movie, I have to say this game is really good. However, for actually being a game, this was definitely not for me. I actually would say I like the movie more than the game, but I think this game is a great reminder of the kind of motion Cartoon Network used to have. I mean, they made a whole MMO for a live-action series that they didn't know would be successful or not. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching.